Welcome all, let's discuss complement system in detail. The complement system is a part of innate immune system, which enhances or complements antibodies and few immune cells to wipe out pathogens and damaged cells of its own via immune clearance. It is a part of innate immune system, but can also be activated by action of adaptive immune system. What functions does complement system play? It is involved in the lysis of bacterial cells or pathogens, opsonization, inflammation, and immune clearance. The complement system consists of certain components such as the complement proteins from C1 to C9. All these proteins are initially in an active form like C1, C2, C3 up to C9. To make them active, they are cleaved into two fragments, fragment A and fragment B, where B fragment is larger fragment and it is smaller ones. The larger fragment B is active in complement protein. If we classify complement system, it can be driven through three pathways: the classical pathway, alternative pathway, and lection pathway. All these pathways meet at C3 activation, and from here we get the common pathway. First, discussing the classical pathway of complement system. The classical pathway is antibody-dependent pathway of complement system. Let a microbe is traced in complement system has to encounter it. The antibody interacts with that microbe and gives a complex, the antigen-antibody complex. After that, complement proteins will start their work. First of all, C1 protein comes into action. The C1 protein binds with antibody bound to antigen. The C1 protein here is in complex form like the C1 protein, R2 and S2. When C1 binds to antibody, it gets activated and starts cleaving of complement proteins. Firstly, it cleaves C4 protein into C4a and C4b. Then it cleaves C2 into C2a and C2b. After that, THEC4b and C2b combines together and forms an enzyme complex called C3 convertase. Hence, the C3 convertase will actually be C4b2b. The C3 convertase works on C3 and cleaves it to C3a and C3b. C3a helps in inflammation, while C3b along with C3 convertase forms C5 convertase. Then C5 convertase will act on C5 protein and will cleave it into C5a and C5b. On the pathogen membrane, the C5b molecule recruits C6 and C7 and gets into membrane of pathogen. So we get C5b, C6, C7 complex. Then this complex recruits C8 protein and we get complex in the form of C5b, 6, 7, 8. The complex has capability to polymerize C9 molecule in pathogen membrane. As C5b, 6, 7, 8 initiates the polymerization of C9 protein to membrane of pathogen, we get poly C9 in the pathogen membrane, which forms pores in the pathogen membrane and is called MAC. The MAC leads to calcium ions concentration increasing in pathogen, which eventually bursts the pathogen via osmotic lysis. This is how the complement system works via classical pathway.